I'm Sterling Perrin with Omdia, and we are at a very busy OFC 2026 where the talk is all about AI, and very happy to be joined today by Dwayne McIntosh and Ben Baker with HPE Networking.
Great to be here.
Hey guys, yeah, so very busy show, busy for you guys, I'm sure as well. I think probably the first thing to address is the booth, HPE, different logo, different affiliation.
Right.
I think back in July, the acquisition was finalized. So kind of eight, 9 months in, maybe talk a little bit, Dwayne, about the benefits of Juniper Networks being folded into HPE and how that is actually benefiting your networking business.
Right, so we've just been underway for about 8 months. And you can already see synergies and HPE's technology and capabilities working with Juniper. We just announced our QFX 5250, which is our first 1.6T switch. That's available in the May timeframe. That's really leveraging HPE's liquid cooling technologies combined with our switching technology, our switching expertise. We also announced recently the AMD Helio switch, and that Helio rack has a Juniper switch tray that's incorporated and integrated. And then even while all that's going on, we still announced the PTX 12,000, and we've announced 3 derivatives of the PTX 10,000 too. So a lot going on really in the first quarter, 2 quarters of integrating both companies.
Yeah, so the message is here and in the industry all about AI, of course, and then there's kind of there's inside the data center, and then there's the connectivity between the data centers, kind of take them separately. Ben, you're focused on inside the data center, which has a couple components to it. Maybe address some of the key trends that you're seeing in the data center.
Good to see you, Sterling. So we're here talking about scale up, scale out, and scale across. Let's talk about scale up first. So as Dwayne mentioned, the HPE Helios rack is going to be available by the end of this year. This thing's a monster, OCP, Open Rack Wide compliant, 72 AMD GPUs, AMD Volcano NICs. But the most exciting part about this is the scale-up networking in it. And this really announces the arrival of Ethernet in the scale-up domain. We're doing the switching for that. Specifically, we're using UA Link over Ethernet, but HPE is also very involved in ESUN, the Ethernet for scale-up networking ecosystem. And the Helios rack is just one example of what we call better together, as Dwayne was talking about. There's so many synergies across the organizations. Now we can offer this fully integrated data center, compute, storage, networking for our customers if that's how they choose to procure it or consume it.
Okay, so that's the scale up portion. And then of course the other piece within the walls of the data center is the scale out component. What are the things you're seeing?
Scale out, we're having some great customer conversations. They typically revolve around the customer challenges and requirements and how we meet them. So, when you're talking about AI training, it's about minimizing job completion time. When you talk about AI inference, it's a little bit different. It's about minimizing time to first token, time to subsequent token generation. It's about minimizing overall cost per token. So from a networking point of view, it's about performance, latency, scale. And speaking of that, like Dwayne said, the QFX 5250, we're showing that. It's gonna be available to customers in Q2 of this year, 64 ports of 1.6 terabit per second Ethernet. And one of the most exciting things about it is it's direct-to-chip liquid cooled. So we're using all the experience of HPE. I think it's fair to say HPE has led the industry in cooling of electronics for decades now. We're putting all that expertise into this box. The next area that customers are talking to us about is they want Ethernet for scale out. That Ethernet's got to be optimized for AI workloads. So we're keeping abreast with all the goings on of the UEC, the Ultra Ethernet Consortium, all the alphabet soup of protocols around congestion management and control, load balancing. We're implementing all of those features and for certain customer use cases. And then the final area, customers need operational simplicity, whether it's for these new AI data centers or traditional enterprise data centers. HPE offers 2 breakthrough technologies here. The first is our Apstra intent-based networking, fabric, and automation system. Apstra is built on top of a graph database. This is our secret sauce. When something goes wrong in the network, you're usually faced with a bunch of alarms, But don't confuse those alarms, which are probably symptoms of the problem, with the problem. So with that graph database and with App Store, we're able to pinpoint the immediate root cause of the problem. The next breakthrough technology is AI Ops. Again, I think it's fair to say that HPE leads the industry in AI Ops. That's courtesy of our Mist platform. It's been going strong for 10 years now. We started integrating that into our data center networking portfolio about 3 years ago. So we have real AI and ML in our product today that customers are using and loving. We're at an optical show, predictive maintenance for optical transceivers is just one example. And the idea is you can be very intelligent and efficient with scheduling maintenance. In a big data center, you can send out a tech on Tuesday next week to replace a couple transceivers, couple fan trays. So it makes it very intelligent and efficient, those breakthrough technologies.
Yeah, it sounds like within the data center, I kind of, Dwayne addressed this a little bit in general, but with the acquisition into HPE, within the data center, the customers are quite welcoming. It seems like it's been, very well received.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we can, it's not a stretch to say that we can now offer solutions to customers that no company has ever been able to do before.
Opening doors for business from the former Juniper business. Great. The other piece to the scales is the scale across. Connectivity, it used to be DCI, but DCI for AI applications. And Dwayne, this falls under your purview within the company. Maybe talk about some of the key trends and you're seeing it within the scale across.
We did a recent study with Ambia, and we looked at what's the trends relative to AI's impact on the WAN. And so I think there's a lot of study that's been happening in terms of the data center and traffic impacts, et cetera. We want to understand what the impact was on the WAN itself.
Sure.
So we saw that there's a significant growth of like 140% CAGR over the next 10 years up through 2033. And we're expecting tremendous growth, mostly because accounts are distributing their inferencing clusters, they're distributing training. And so they need to synchronize those data centers. They're transferring data, they're transferring various loads. And so to update those transfers, they're going to be using more and more bandwidth. And so we see a tremendous amount of explosion in speeds and feeds requirements, the performance requirements for those routers in those environments. The study also went on to say that traffic is expanding. We're expecting 60% CAGR growth in AI traffic across the WAN in general. And a lot of accounts are really focused in on how can they expand their WAN environment to extend resources, to share resources across compute environments. So whether that's sharing compute and storage resources using RDMA across the wide area network, or they're addressing latency and compliance issues, sovereignty compliance issues. There's a tremendous amount that goes into managing the data center interconnect, and that growth rate we're expecting to be very tremendous.
Yeah, one of the things that's starting to become clear at this show and kind of over the past couple of months is moving from training. It doesn't go away, but it's been pretty much almost exclusively focused on training, which is a lot of, Ben, what you just addressed, moving to inferencing, where people are saying we're in maybe the first inning of that. And I think some of that study and what you just addressed is talking about how networks are impacted by moving from simply only training to training plus.
Well, if you think about it, they're extending their data center network, the fabric across the WAN.
Right.
So what does it take to support technologies like RDMA to get the performance that you need to support sharing of those compute and storage resources? And so that interconnectivity, the performance requirements, low latency requirements are kind of table stakes now.
Right. Latency, certainly heard a lot about that over the past couple days here as well. It's a busy show season, OFC. Not too long ago, I guess a couple weeks, you were at MWC, and I know there were some pretty big announcements around the PTX at that time that fit directly into AI. Maybe just kind of address what that was.
Speaking about data center interconnect, so we just announced our PTX 12,000. There's a 12 slot and an 8 slot version. That's super dense. It's ultra dense. Modular chassis. It supports 648 800 gig interfaces concurrently. whether that's coherent optics or some other optics that are supporting it. So that's 513.8 terabits for the whole chassis in the 12-slot version. The 8-slot version is available today. The 12-slot will be coming out at the end of the year. We see hyperscalers, neo cloud providers are leveraging that kind of DCI density in their environments. And it's also useful for as spines within the AI data centers. We also introduced 3 variants to the PTX 10002. So that's also used for DCI environments, but also for a lot of other WAN implementations where there's core, peering, aggregation. Those various use cases, we have a number of form factors. One that's 28.8 terabits per second with OSFP support. Traditionally, we've had QSFP. Now we've added OSFP. And then we have some 14.4 terabit throughput platforms for more aggregation roles where downloads or downstream connections aren't as high performance, the demand for that. So 800 gig, et cetera, is required upstream. But it's more of a price point that fits, whatever customer need is, what their customer requirements are.
Right, there's certainly a huge focus on the hyperscalers, but there's neoscalers, there's communication service providers, or telco, there's enterprise, and there's other, AI is the big one, but there are other applications beyond AI that are still going to continue. With that, thanks for the run through, a lot going on. Maybe, Ben, I'll put you on the spot to close out. Any kind of predictions you want to make about what we expect to see in the next year?
Here's what's next. I mean, with networking, as is always the case, better, more, faster. 1.6T is hitting the market today. 3.2T is sure to follow pretty quickly. That insatiable demand that AI has for network bandwidth, we don't see it going away anytime soon. So there's networking for AI, which is building out all this infrastructure for these new AI workloads, but there's also AI for networking. Our vision is the self-driving network, and we're on this journey with our customers towards autonomy. Will we ever reach full autonomy? Maybe, maybe not, but that's not really the point. The point is an ultra-reliable network. People view the network like a utility. They want to be like electricity or water. They don't want to worry about it. And let's not forget, with all this talk about technology, the goal here is optimizing the user experience, whether that's the network operator or that end user who relies on the network every day for the applications they use, whether they know it or not. And kind of the final thing I'd say is exciting times ahead for us at HPE. We thought we had an amazing portfolio as a standalone company, and now we're working with HPE, as Dwayne was saying, so many technology synergies, product portfolio synergies. And it's just gonna be so exciting the months and weeks ahead to continue to deliver these new compelling things to customers that no company has ever been able to do before.
It is a really amazing time to be in networking. So I think all the companies here are really, well positioned, and including you guys. Great catching up.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks.